Alright, and good morrow. I do have a video just before this where I discovered there was a week 2 patch for Legendary Tales out. Week 2 patch is 1700 megabytes, week 1 patch was 400 megabytes, and what we found is that it actually, the game itself was 6.96 gigabytes. I believe it took up on the drive 6.99. With the week 1 patch, it was still sitting at 6.99. I think I might have got my wires crossed there. Maybe it installed at 6.96. Maybe there was 300 meg added in that patch. Don't know. What I do know, having looked at the numbers over the last week or two, is that the game was 6.99. It is now 7.10. So that suggests that a couple of hundred megabytes, maybe 2, maybe 300 megabytes out of the 1700 were adding data. So there might be that some textures were swapped, some sounds were swapped or added, but most the bulk, the lion's share of the data that has come down with this patch, maybe 1500 megabytes worth, has been altering the code that was already in the game. Quite a substantial amount of it. You could argue 1/7 of it, arguably. It's substantially changed. Like if there was 3 or 4 things that the lion's share of pundits, people who love this game, really wanted to see happen. A lot of people were saying we want faster walking speed. It's a huge world we're walking around in. You just want to get places quicker. So improved walking speed. I feel that they've given us that with now when I walk, I can actually look off to the sides to a wider angle without breaking myself out of a fast walk moving forward. I actually feel the difference. I'll be looking forward, I'll look off to the right, and I'll slow down. Not anymore. With the new patch, I can be walking quite fast forward, I can be looking off to the side la-di-da and seeing what's going on in the game world around me. That there is kind of like they've nailed one of the improvements that was being asked for. Okay, so without having granted faster walk speed per se, definitely the walking was so much better in today's brief, this morning's brief little test of it. Another one that of the 4 things that have been asked for by people, a toggle grip in such a way that you can actually make use of the PlayStation, the Sense Touch, I guess the concept of your fingers touching on, is now a hybrid grip, a 3rd grip option in the menu, and it's fantastic. I mean, there's a learning curve when you swap from one grip style to the other grip style. So one of the grip styles is you touch a button to pick something up, and you touch a button to let go. Right, and the developer themselves was fighting for that. They just, under the concept of it, would be fatiguing for players to have to hold a button down the whole time they're wanting to keep their hand closed around an object. And a lot of people in the forums were sort of arguing, but why not leave it up to us? If we want to punish ourselves with having to hold a button down, just let us. And their argument was fair in that when you're throwing something, the concept of letting go and having the item fly out of your hand at the right, that apex of the throw, the zenith, I guess, of the toss, there is a right spot. There's a correct point of letting go, and the trajectory is just the most powerful, the fastest, the greatest distance, the most damage. And I found that when I was playing in the game, if I was swapping between the control styles, it wasn't really working out for me, but you just have to commit to one or the other. That was obvious. And I myself couldn't help but feel, gee, I'd like to have that sense toggle, that ability to be able to hold things that way. They now have a hybrid grip. I'm not entirely sure how it works. It looks like it might, I mean, I feel like it's time-based. There's a bit of a timer where it's a little bit more sensitive when you first grip something, in case you're wanting to do throw-in weapons. It's almost like they've built it for the perfection of, okay, you're going to go through your quick slots and you're going to grab all 4 daggers and just toss. We've built for that type of player, right? So they've made some changes. They have been listening. I'm trying to think what the other big ones were. The only other big one that stood out to me was the empathy or the sensitivity I was seeing from the lead developer to people who might have disabilities, who cannot play a game that requires standing up, and it offers a stage of crouching as an in-game mechanic. I guess the 4th was just a group of people that wanted some capability to be crouching all the time or something. That can be used as an in-game hack. I guess as a developer they were just trying to get some game balance for multiplayer. They didn't want people being able to just duck down under the swing arc of the enemies and finding a new way to break what should be a gameplay loop. So look, what I'm seeing here is what was promised. There was an interview I saw with the developer. They had mentioned that they might crack the whip a little bit, so that instead of letting the development team take the break after the software launch, that they would put out 1 or 2 patches. So I was really happy to get a patch last week. I wasn't sure if we were going to see the patch this week. I kind of expected a 5-week gap of silence while the actual, after years and years and years of development, that the families finally get to see their loved ones, and happy that those people have a life, right? That they work so that they can live. And I can only hope that after this patch got pushed off to the respective parties, that various people were allowed to take a break. I do say epic thank you. The game is very impressive. With the couple of changes I saw this morning, the feel of the gameplay was that much improved that I would say by an average review score it should shoot up by at least 0.2, right? Arguably it's 0.5 because there's no such thing as a 0.2. The changes that were made today, for the sheer number of people that were making vocal effort in forums saying we need these improvements, what I'm seeing is everything that has been in discussion, everything that's been raised, the developers are like, yep, we're onto it, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to weigh it up. If it can be done, we'll do it. That they are definitely delivering. So I think some review scores will be going up slightly after today's patch. Not as a multiplayer player myself, obviously with over 1 gigabyte of code that's gone in to improve the code that is there. There's probably a lot of improvement in the multiplayer code. Don't know until I try. So anyway, less time talking, more time playing equals me trying. So normally with a new patch or a new build out, it makes sense for me to run through the tutorial again. So I might do that now. And I should have my volume levels right so I can talk over the video. People should be able to hear it at home. But if not, well, enjoy. It's been a pleasure meeting. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. Where are we at? Oh, I need headwear. Right. Get your earbud on. This is the game that doesn't allow you to miss. Burn, baby, burn. Oh yeah, that's great. Just being able to let go of the button to change grip. Towards me. Oh, where? All right. So that's a lot of fun. Right there. Main menu tutorial. All right. Let's check out the changes, shall we? Okay, So it's been subtle over the updates, but we're kind of starting at a more central location, looking in the right direction. That might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it does. That would make everything perfect. It's actually. What I don't like about snap turn is how it affects the audio. When you're actually turning in real time, that sense of audio around you is just that little bit better. Okay, so it is a universal control scheme in that the settings I set for one of my characters is the same for all of my characters. The soundbite out here still has a moment of silence in its loop. Alright, the speed everything's running at is really quite nice. Oh yeah, the ability to throw in hybrid is way better in terms of being natural. You just let it go, you know, like as you would. Alright. Okay, so I noticed in my play this morning that there was an A-listing on the blade that seemed to be missing. And I only noticed it in the tutorial after the first patch on the sword in the ground there, that there was just a little bit of A-listing. It just felt like they'd changed some of the in-world settings between release and first patch to make the game just try to achieve that slightly higher frame rate. And it looks like now they've improved, they've tweaked the game further such that they've brought back the draw distances or clammed it back to the better quality graphic settings where possible, while maintaining the speed. But it seems like the physics and everything are improving every step of the way. I love the way it just deflects your weapon. So things almost feel more breaky on some objects. It does break. Interaction. Let's do it. Yeah, I feel of the tweaks they made in that first patch, they're still refining what level of anti-aliasing at what levels, at what distances or whatnot, or what software tools they're using. You can see they're working for improvement. Skeleton felt more visceral in front of me. It's just a faster frame rate. Things genuinely are. Feels higher res. As I said, it kind of felt like they played the Tessellation. But I mean, at this point, it's like I'm just looking for changes. All that really matters is, did it work before you got the patch? Does it work after you get the patch? There's some big potatoes. Alright. Gonna do that. At least aim a bit better. So it's fair to say I'm a fan of the hybrid grip style already. That is so nice. I say that dropping my sword on purpose at that point. I'm not actually holding the button right now, but as soon as I let go, I let go. It's great. Right. But being able to do stuff like that, like flip your sword, I mean, I don't know if people can see me doing that as easily as I'm doing it, but it's actually pretty cool. There are times I've picked up axes and just had them roll. The physics of the game, just so good. They really are something special. Too soon on that one. Yeah, the frame rate, the resolution, it's like a tech bench, intuitive flawless. This is why everybody wants the valuable games of this ilk. They do on mobile phones just to sell more. And when the game comes out that we actually want, do we champion it? For me, this is the one game I would want for a platform like this. The fact they've improved the frame rate so much. All these areas that used to make me a bit queasy, just the improved frame rate has really helped. Okay, so look carefully to find, you look at the background of kids' animations in the 80s, you could always tell a background piece of art and a foreground piece of art or something that was going to animate. There was that bit of the wall that was a different colour patch. Now, here, I mean, you can kind of see how somebody's put that back together. So, I'm glad that the game's actually good enough to tell you. Keep an eye out for this stuff. And better still, they train you in the process, show you the weapons in action. Okay. Right, so that's where I was aiming for when I was tossing it. So the fact that to me it looks like a lot of this stuff has been improved. Sound is good. You get a sense of it coming, of interacting in the courtyard up and to the left. Like the Tempest engine is pretty amazing. Whether or not they're using Tempest, it certainly sounds like they're doing tracking of sound in areas. I guess I haven't done any efforts as to see if sounds are bouncing off surfaces. I should probably be more aware of that. Alright. Anyway, I'm just talking for the sake of talking. More gameplay. With his hand. Wow, that's a good physics brawler, I tell you. Oh wow, is that reflecting a red light? Okay, it's not. See, if I put my shield in front of it, the so-called red light it's reflecting. It's definitely one of those so-called pre-baked cheap effects. So they've improved the interaction with these. The text itself looks sharper and blacker. I'm not sure what's going on there. In the regular in-game fonts, it isn't. Right. lot easier to complete the tutorial. So interacting with text boxes seems to have improved. Okay, I'm seeing a line I've never seen before. I feel that they've affected some of the graphics. Got a little bit cheap in the layers. The one that used to cover a certain effect that wasn't perfect. It's now revealed that the surface has been scratched. Suspension of disbelief is broken. Not really. Still looks good. Okay, so they still reset when you look off screen. But they're not. I made a comment in my other video that they're not culling graphics quite so quick. And that has definitely made it more immersive. Right, so they're constantly tweaking. They've even made patch alterations to the code that they had for the last patch. So good on them. And it just does feel faster. Somebody's now running through the sun. I don't know if they pushed up to 120. Was there smoke coming from that roof before? Surely there was. Right. But yeah, the way the lighting just lights across the skeleton's bodies, there's something in the way they're animating or looking. Oh, it could be a better quality texture on the bones. Might be higher res skeleton texture. Possible. So we get battle points none if I come over here to skill tree none. So I can't take a spell yet. Start casting stuff at them. Actually. Now that's interesting. Tutorial previously would start you with an intellect of 10 or 11 for no real reason. Yeah, they've changed that up. Yeah, the lighting on the skeleton's bodies, I feel that they've changed the skeleton texture or some such. They just engage, they immerse in the environment better. The brickwork's looking pretty good. See, in the first game this was boarded off, now it's looks to me like something you want to hit with a mallet and break through, really. Maybe my shield has good dashing damage. At least there's a sound effect on it. I wish I could do that to make some noise. That noise would draw the enemies to me. Anyway, I love the Diablo town music here. Part of the quest, I don't feel like I want to look him in the face and talk with him every step of the way. Hi, Jig, you look happy. Get my shield back. Oh dear. Hey, lost my shield. Okay, I'm going to try and learn to parry now with a dagger. Oh, the lighting. There's definitely a texture, I think, on these skeletons. It just looks better. Oh, I love getting caught on each other's bodies. I'm up against the Three Stooges. Pile of skeletons. you're having to hold this weapon with no fingers on it. So hybrid grip really is only for those first few moments where you might want to be throwing a weapon. It's the perfect solution. I think developers know what they're doing. Get a few extra stabs in before they come up. Woo! Right. Okay, so I don't know what the method to the madness is if my eyes have to roll over it. They're not perfect. Engagement time on those. Good resistance on these buttons. Sense of weight. Anyway, everything's good. There's just a better sense of colour all through it. Alright. I'm guessing there's a couple of textures got changed. I mean, the gigabyte of changes is a couple other bigger changes is added size is huge. But if they've been replacing textures to it, it's hard to say where the budget 1700 megabytes went. Okay, so there was a flame fire off to my side. Okay, yeah, so it rebuilds, but it takes nearly 2 seconds before it resets. So if I look away for 3 seconds, it regrows. So they've changed the time, they've just opened up that window a little bit so that when you're turning your head around a fair bit, not everything just respawns every time you're turning around. I think this is good. They really are improving the product. Come on guys, let's do it. Hello. Yes. And then I get my portal spell. And find a safe spot to cast a portal. Middle of nowhere in a field of skeletons, always a good idea. Yeah, so I'm seeing it like a clipping layer in a graphic that wasn't there previously. So about 8 steps, 20 steps forward, and a centimetre back. That's not too bad. Alright, so I'm having a lot of fun with that. I found that there seems to be new things in the menus. There seems to be all sorts of improvements. I must remember it's been out for about 2 weeks. So to see so many improvements and listening to so much community feedback and right onto it. These guys, Urbanwolf Games, know what they're doing. Thank you, Urbanwolf Software. Pleasure, joy to play this game. We've been wanting these things for so long. Company finally comes and delivers the goods to everyone, and it's like nobody knows about it because it's going to be word of mouth, isn't it? The biggest cost to any game is the advertising strategy on game release. It's just such a huge cost. Depending on the size of your game, it's everything. Most people can't afford the extra tens of thousands of dollars to get a good listing on the storefront page where everyone can visually see you. So when a game like this comes out, then it's word of mouth. Look, by all means, if you know friends are into hardcore RPGs, let them know about this game, Legendary Tales.